So, Secretary General, many thanks for speaking to us. As you heard, situation on the battlefield in Ukraine is described as a stalemate. So, can we expect, given these circumstances, that now NATO allies will start using all the possible tools at their disposal in order to help Ukraine to prevail?
Yes, absolutely. We can expect that NATO allies will do more to ensure that Ukraine prevails, because this has been so clearly stated by NATO allies. This is about solidarity with Ukraine, but it's also in our own security interest. So when I travel around and talk to capitals, political leaders in NATO, I always stress that this is not charity. This is an investment in our own security. And that our support makes a difference on the battlefield every day. Many allies have forgotten that, at the beginning of the war, we feared that Russia was going to take control of Ukraine within days or a few weeks. The opposite happened. The Ukrainians were able to liberate, you have been able to liberate 50% of your territory, and we need to ensure that we then step up our support to Ukraine.
What kind of tactical and also strategic consequences could we expect after Russian armed forces captured Avdiivka city?
Well, that demonstrates that the situation on the battlefield is very difficult, or extremely difficult, as President Zelensky said. But we don't believe that the fact that the Ukrainian forces have withdrawn from Avdiivka in itself will significantly change the strategic situation. But it reminds us of that Russia is willing to sacrifice a lot of soldiers to also just make minor territorial gains, and also that Russia has received significant military support, supplies from Iran, from North Korea, and have been able to ramp up their own production. So this makes it, and they have mobilized more forces. So, of course, this makes it important that NATO allies provide military support, ammunition, and other types of support. But of course also that Ukraine is able to get the necessary forces mobilized, the personnel needed to continue to fight against the Russian invaders.
Could Russian first noticeable military successes in recent months, followed by the death of Russian well-known opposition leader Alexei Navalny, somehow contribute or speed up military aid package approval for Ukraine by Congress?
At least those two events demonstrates that it is an urgent need to support Ukraine, partly to ensure that Russia doesn't make further gains, but that Ukraine is able to liberate more territory. And I strongly believe that the best way to honor the memory of Alexei Navalny is to ensure that President Putin doesn't win on the battlefield, but that Ukraine prevails. The good news is that just over the last few days, we have seen big new announcements, for instance, from Sweden, with over 600 billion extra in support, including combat boats, air defense, and a significant amount of ammunition. Canada announced big additional support with over 800 advanced drones. And this comes on top of the announcement made by France and Germany last week, accounting for billions of dollars in extra support. And then also very much also welcome the announcement by Japan also this week of more than 100 million extra for demining. So of course we are focused on the United States, but we also see how other allies are really stepping up and delivering significant support to Ukraine.
How Europe should prepare to possible return of Donald Trump to the White House amid his statements that he would encourage Russia to attack NATO allies who are not paying their bills?
Well, first of all, the United States has been a staunch and committed NATO ally ever since the alliance was established in 1949. And shifting administrations, Republican, Democratic administrations have always been supportive of NATO. And I expect that regardless of the outcome of the US elections this year, the US will remain a committed NATO ally, because it is in the security interest of the United States. The US stays safer and stronger with more than 30 allies. That's something that China and Russia doesn't have at all. It's a great advantage for the United States. Second, it is broad bipartisan support for Ukraine in the US. And then thirdly, the criticism from the US has not mainly been against NATO, but against NATO allies not spending enough on NATO. And the good news is that we now have released just a few days ago new figures showing that more and more allies are meeting the NATO target of spending 2% of GDP on defense. If you add together what all European allies do and compare that to their GDP in total in Europe, it's actually 2% today. That's good, but it's not enough, because we want all allies to spend 2%, and we have also made clear that 2% is a minimum. But it demonstrates that we have come a long way since we made the pledge in 2014 to spend more. Then only 3 allies spend 2% of GDP on defense. Now 18, and I hope even more allies soon will spend 2% of GDP on defense.
We are constantly hearing a lot of criticism addressed to NATO allies that they allegedly give to Ukraine enough weapons not to lose, but not enough to win. Do you find these comments fair?
I think we have to admit that in the beginning of the war, there was some reluctance of providing the most advanced weapons, but this has significantly changed. Now allies are providing not only large quantities of ammunition and artillery and different types of weapons, but also more and more advanced weapons, including the most advanced battle tanks, Leopard and Abrams tanks. Armored personnel carriers like the Marders and the Bradleys, and then of course also very advanced air defense systems, including the NASAMS and the Patriots, and long-range cruise missiles, the Storm Shadow and the Scalps from the United Kingdom and France. These are extremely advanced, precise long-range weapon systems. And then we are now in the process of training Ukrainian pilots for the F-16s, and allies have announced also quite a significant number of F-16s to be delivered as soon as possible to Ukraine. So it has evolved as the war has evolved, and I welcome that allies are providing also more advanced systems. Then I think that in addition to discuss systems, which is always important, F-16s or cruise missiles, it's very important also to remember that we need to maintain and sustain the weapons or the systems which are already delivered, ammunition, spare parts, maintenance, repair. This is a huge undertaking, and we need to focus also on that, because we know that the more we are able to repair and maintain weapons which are already in Ukraine, the stronger the Ukrainian armed forces will be.
Secretary General, you mentioned just F-16 jets. Is it known when exactly they are about to come to Ukraine, and will they be accompanied with the restrictions not to attack Russian territory?
It's not possible to say exactly when, because this is a dilemma. We all want the F-16s to be there as early as possible. At the same time, of course, the effect of the F-16s will be stronger and better, the more trained and the more prepared the pilots, but not only the pilots, but also the maintenance personnel, all the support systems which have to be in place to make F-16s really the advanced weapon system it is. So I think we have to listen to the military experts exactly when we will be ready to, or when allies will be ready to start to send in and to deliver the F-16s. The sooner the better. At the same time, it has to be an effective weapon with well-trained pilots, with good support systems in place when we launch this new system or deliver this new system to Ukraine. then it's for each and every ally to decide whether there are some caveats on what they deliver. And different allies have had a bit different policies on that. But in general, we need to remember what this is. This is a war aggression by Russia against Ukraine in a blatant violation of international law. And according to international law, Ukraine has the right to self-defense. And that includes also striking legitimate military targets, Russian military targets outside Ukraine. That's international law, and of course Ukraine has the right to do so to protect itself.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Secretary General. That was a pleasure.
Thank you.